I'm starting my journey to try to find the smallest incorporated town in Alaska. And that's very important. An incorporated town is different than just like a community. So this town has a mayor, has some form of government, and is actually incorporated and is the smallest town in Alaska, Kupreanof. And to get there isn't easy. I'm actually in Fairbanks. It's where I've been kind of hanging out in Alaska. And to get there, I have to fly to Anchorage. And then from Anchorage, I go to Petersburg, which is across the water from Kupreanof. So I don't know how I'm going to get across the water. And I don't know if there's going to be anybody there to talk to. I really have no idea what's going to happen. But I do have a plane ticket to get to Petersburg. And we'll see how it goes. I have arrived to Petersburg, which is across the way from the smallest town in Alaska, Kupreanof. And I'm gonna try to go over there tomorrow. I have a ride. I've been talking to a couple of people to try to help me get in touch with someone that lives over there. So as of now, it's uncertain. I guess it's a black bear sanctuary over there. So that could be interesting. But yeah, so as of now, I have a ride. I have a map of maybe some places to see, and that's about it. So hopefully tomorrow we'll wake up and we'll go meet the fine people of the smallest town in Alaska, Kupreanof. I decided to go check out Petersburg, pretty cool little town. That's the hotel I stayed in. I walked over to the museum. Pretty much everything is walkable around this town. It's pretty small and very nice museum. And learned about Petersburg. You know, the Petersburg borough, which is kind of like a county in the lower 48, they call them boroughs up here. And, Petersburg has about 90% of the population of the Petersburg borough, which stretches over towards Canada, has a couple different islands on it. The original, indigenous peoples, there were several different ones, but the Lingots were the one that is kind of most notable. Then a Norwegian immigrant named Peter Bushman, who they named the town after, Petersburg, came from Norway. He built a cannery, a sawmill, some docks, other structures, and they eventually named the town after him and incorporated it in 1910. And as you start going down here towards the older part of town, this is kind of down along the harbor, you see quite a few Norwegian flags and buildings. This is an old, historic building right there that was floated to that location. It's a pretty well-known hall here, the Sons of Norway Hall. The fishing industry has always been the most important part of the economy here in Petersburg, and here's a really interesting memorial of, people lost at sea and fishermen who have passed away through the years. Pretty cool memorial how they had put this together, and hundreds of names along this. And so I'm not sure I've seen something quite like that before, so significantly memorialized in this way. So very, very interesting. And fishing along with tourism is pretty much the main economies here. And then you have a couple of interesting totem poles that are right on the Main Street area. So there's a lot of things to, walk around and check out, and gives really interesting about why the different totem poles, what they're named, and all of that. The population of Petersburg has significantly gone up since the early 1900s, peaked in the year 2000, and it's pretty much stayed steady for the last 30 or 40 years. A lot of history of the canneries that are still going, and like I mentioned earlier, the main part of the economy here. You can only reach this area by airplane, and there are a ton of murals around town, and there may be more than what I got here, but it seems like every corner that I walked around, there was another mural talking about the history of the town, or just something being kind of artistic, like that one.
And that's Kupreanof Island. That's where I'm heading tomorrow.
We're gonna go meet a guy named Daniel, who's gonna take us across the harbor and drop me off in Kupreanof. Still have not confirmed anything with a local. So I guess we're gonna just head over there and see what we can find. This is called Middle Harbor. There's South Harbor, Middle Harbor, and I need to go up to North Harbor and find Daniel and take the short ride over to Kupreanof Island, and the smallest town in Alaska.
Great little town here.
So I don't know how well you could hear Daniel, but he works for Seek Alaska, and they do tours mostly to the nearby LeConte Glacier. And he took me over here past the canneries. They were getting ready for work in the morning, and he knew every single person they were giving at us, and that was nice for him to take a little detour. He didn't charge me $1 for this. I tried to give him money, and he wouldn't take it. So it was really nice of him to not only take me over, but to explain a little bit about the town and the fishing community there. And then once we did that, we pointed our boat towards Kupreanof Island. Welcome to Kupreanof. And as Daniel heads back to Petersburg, yeah, we're here. He said if no one's here, if no one's around, knock on a door, no one's gonna shoot you. This isn't the kind of place that's gonna do anything like that. So yeah, so I guess we'll just go start walking around and check it out. think they have a nice trail. I don't think we're gonna do that one. This one seems more our speed. Maybe that one as well. This is Main Street, Kupreanof. Okay, here we've come up to our second driveway. That's interesting. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. There's a couple houses over here. Daniel said to not be afraid to go knock on people's doors, but it feels a little strange to do that. It's only 8:45 in the morning. Strike two. I've done some hikes down in like Fiji and in the Caribbean, and just this is what those hikes felt like. Just massive trees and greenery everywhere. Tropical rainforest, basically. Let's check out this trail. Super nice, like, trail that they made. Easy to walk on. You got the Kupreanof Loop Trail. Use at your own risk. Yeah, the trail gets worse. This way, you keep going this way. We'll just take this a while, and then if we don't run into too much, we'll just head back, see what else we can find, if we can bump into anyone. Anything, we're having a nice walk today. Hopefully we don't see any black bears in the Black Bear Sanctuary. It's a cool bridge. This kind of opens up a little bit. Got a little rest area along the back roads of Kupreanof here. In memory of Jake. Wonder who Jake was. Way off there you can see Petersburg. I'll tell you what, if you really want to get away from it all, Kupreanof, Alaska is your kind of place. The drone footage looked like it just kind of goes on down the way to the water over there. So we're gonna turn around and head back and maybe head on the other side of the dock and see if we can find anybody, like a couple houses over there maybe. I love this old bridge. Well, I walked all the way down as far as I could go that way, and I came back to where the dock is, and I ran into Mr. Bobby Dolan. And he's a resident of Kupreanof. So he's gracious enough to give me a few minutes of his time. He's getting ready to head over to Petersburg.
So I have to get my boat ready to do the final work to get the boat ready to go fishing. And I'm gonna leave this afternoon.
And so how long have you lived in Kupreanof?
I think about 30 years.
And how?
But I don't live all year round now.
Right.
In Kupreanof. The winters here are brutal.
I bet.
You know, it's very brutal. So I live half the year in Mexico. I had a big change in my life, and as happens midlife, and I looked over here. You know, I mean, I came back to Petersburg and lived on my boat for a while, and then I thought, well, I need a place, you know, and so actually the people from Kupreanof approached me, some of my friends from Kupreanof, because, hey, they're going to sell this place, and we think it would be a good place for you. So I came over and looked at it, and I told the folks, you know, I don't want to leave.
Well, it was I really enjoyed the walk, and I guess such a beautiful. I mean, it's incredibly beautiful. Obviously,
you know,
through there.
You know, and the state, the Department of Transportation keeps wanting to build a road through here. This is a roadless community. In fact, motorized vehicles are prohibited.
I don't think I've ever been to a town that didn't have a road.
Right, no roads here, just trails.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can ride a bike on the trail, and you can ride a motorized vehicle on your own property, but not on the public access.
So what's it like to live here?
It's you know, it's off grid, so you have that to deal with. You know, most of us have some kind of system, solar panel systems or hydro systems to produce electricity, and batteries, and it's a little more expensive, well, quite a bit more expensive actually than public electricity. You know, water is not a problem because we're in a rainforest, so it's nice for me. You know, I haven't owned a car in all that time. You know, I don't need a car. My skiff is right there, so I just skiff back and forth. And you know, a lot of the stores and the shipyard and so on have waterfront access. And
that's awesome.
How much money would you have saved if you didn't have to have a car over the last 30 years?
A lot.
A lot. Insurance and maintenance and all that business, you know. So so when the DOT, when I actually was the mayor, I haven't been the mayor for 40 years, but when I actually was the mayor, it was a big push to put this road in here, you know, and
who was wanting the road?
Department of Transportation.
Oh, okay.
They want to build roads everywhere and put little ferries in and whatever, you know. They can't run the ferries they've got, but, you know, we call them the evil Department of Transportation. You can print that if you want. So I invited them all over to Kupreanof to do just exactly what you did, because, you know, I told them, you know, I think you have a good idea what you want to build, or you think you do anyway, but I would like you to see what you're going to destroy before you build it. The original settlement was here in Kupreanof, and so there were people buried there and all that kind of stuff. When they moved the town to Mitkoff Island, they actually dug up some of the people and brought them over and put them in the cemetery in Petersburg.
After our short chat down there by the dock, Bobby invited me down to his house where we continued to talk, and he gave me history lessons about Kupreanof and was just the most welcoming person you could imagine. Showed me his project he's working on, building a new canoe from start to finish, and you could just imagine what it would be like living out here in this tiny town of Kupreanof. That was so great to meet Bobby, the mayor, or the old mayor of Kupreanof, and we sat and talked for a long time. I just filmed a little bit of, asking him about living here. But man, he invited me to his house, told me all kinds of stuff about the history of Kupreanof, how this was here first, and then they made Petersburg. They moved over to Petersburg, and this was kind of like a mill. They had mills here, and then it was a warehouse community, and has been a very important part, and now it's evolved to this, which is just beautiful, off the grid, very unique place to live. So fascinating history. Bobby is a very fascinating person, and really honored to get to meet and chat with him, and he was so gracious. Thank you, Bobby. Feet are getting wet. Everything's getting wet. So this is as far as I'm gonna go on this trail. It gets pretty rough. I'm not a big hiker, so I like a good walk. But it's really beautiful, and I'm sure the hike to the top of the mountain is pretty awesome. I'm guessing maybe this was where, part of the town, the original town was, although it's probably all up and down the waterfront. There's not a lot of historic buildings and things like that, but that's not why you come to Kupreanof. All right, 1 mile. Bobby recommended this unmaintained trail. Are you guys counted in the population of Kupreanof? Yeah, we got a nice bench halfway. This trail is wild. Which way should I go? That looks like the wood trail. Guess we'll go this way. I see the trail, but apparently beavers made this problematic. Okay. Continuing on.
All right, that looks familiar. We have walked all the way around the entire Kupreanof area, heading back to the dock. Well, there you have it. I have made it all the way back to where I started. The dock is right there in front of me, waiting for Captain Dan to come back over and pick me up. And what were my thoughts on Kupreanof overall? No place like I've ever been before. I've never been to a town that had no roads. I've never been to a town that was laid out like this. You know, I was really, up until I met Bobby, I was pretty certain, you know, I was a little bit optimistic earlier when I was talking to different people that maybe I would, you know, be able to talk to someone. And then when I got here, it just felt like, man, I wasn't gonna find anybody. I just happened to find him randomly. So that was really awesome, and he was great. And but then, you know, I pretty much walked, besides going to like the top of the mountain, I pretty much walked every single place. I'm totally drenched. It's been raining for the last couple hours, and but it's awesome. And would I recommend you to come here? If you're up for a sense of adventure, that I would certainly say absolutely. There is not a tour of the town. There's, you know, to get here, I had to kind of like ask for someone to, you know, just drive me over on a boat. So definitely not the typical touristy place that you might go to. It feels like another country, which, you know, Alaska in a way is kind of like its own country up here. But yeah, it definitely feels like another world separate from the United States. And I would have never, ever came here if I wasn't doing this YouTube channel. So very thankful for that. Thankful for you that you're watching this, that you're have enough interest in this, that it actually helps pay for me to come here. It's expensive. It's more expensive to come here than it was like from Fairbanks to come here than it was for me to go from Kansas all the way to Fairbanks. And so not a cheap place to visit, but highly recommended. I would definitely recommend it if you ever were in Petersburg or in the area of Petersburg, Alaska. Hey, you made it all the way to the end of the video. And now that you're here, let me tell you a little bit more about all the other things going on this channel. If you want to become a member, you can become a member on either Patreon or YouTube memberships. There's 3 different levels, and as you are on a different level, there's more and more things, behind the scenes videos, different things that you're going to be able to gain access to. Make sure you check out my website, travelwithawiseguy.com. There's a whole bunch of new stuff on there. There's a merchandise link with some new cool merchandise. There's a newsletter that you can sign up for. About every 3 weeks, I send out a new newsletter that's free. I have Google Maps, which has documented every place that I've made a video about, and you can click on there and you can go to the map and you can find the videos that I made, and it's all in one very convenient place. There's lots and lots of other stuff on there, so make sure to check out the website and explore all around what I've got going on. But once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Stare down. Who blinks first? Okay, you win.